Hey everyone, welcome back to Hoopers Nation, your top destination for NBA basketball content. Kyrie Irving has returned to national spotlight with his latest series of dramatic events. And even though the Nets claim they supported Irving on his decision to leave the team for personal reasons, it's something that hasn't sit well with Brooklyn's front office or with the rest of the players. But this is far from the first time Kyrie's caused trouble behind the scenes. In this video, we'll take a look at the reason Kyrie Irving has caused problems in the locker rooms of multiple teams. But before we do, please make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on Hoopers Nation post notifications for more NBA content. Kyrie Irving has always been a guy who's really hard to understand. After all, this is a man who once got into the Earth is flat debate, and one who hasn't been afraid to make other similarly bold claims. Uncle Drew has also had quite a number of dramatic episodes throughout his career, most of which have created unnecessary distractions for his championship-contending teams. The latest one came when Irving requested to take a game off for personal reasons, but it turned into a 2-week-plus absence of uncertainty where nobody was sure what Kyrie was up to or what his plans were. This situation put the Nets in an awkward position, creating some locker room problems, but as we said earlier, this is far from the first time this has happened. After LeBron James took his talents to South Beach in the summer of 2010, the franchise went from the first seed in the Eastern Conference to the very worst team in the East in just one season. That allowed Cleveland to win the 2011 NBA lottery and draft Kyrie Irving with the #1 pick. For a franchise whose best players besides Irving were Anton Jamison and Anderson Varejao, Kyrie gave the Cavs exactly what they needed: a scoring first guard who was an absolute master on the offensive end. He immediately became the team's leading scorer, but the team never amounted to much success over the next 4 seasons, finishing at or near the bottom of the East every year. Then in 2014, the King made his way back to the franchise he promised to win an NBA championship for. According to multiple sources, that's when Irving's discontent first began, years before winning an NBA championship and years before demanding a trade from the Cavs. Kyrie expected Cleveland to become his team, one he would lead to the promised land, but he felt like James's return forced him to play second fiddle. This is either false or partially true depending on whose version you buy. Other than Irving's first season with James, in which he still had a 27.4% usage rate, Kyrie had a usage rate of 30% plus in his other 2 seasons as a Cav. He was also one of the most efficient and less turnover-prone players in the league while playing alongside LeBron, which essentially turned him into a top 3 point guard in the NBA. Was he still playing second fiddle to LeBron James? Well, yes. But unless prime Michael Jordan himself used the time machine and returned to team up with James, anybody would have played second fiddle to the King, who's a top 2 player in NBA history. Dwayne Wade did it and he didn't complain. He simply played his role and won 2 NBA championships in the process. Anthony Davis has also done it, and he won an NBA championship in his very first season teaming up with James. Heck, Kevin Love was a star player in Minnesota for 6 years before accepting a third option role in Cleveland. But he's happy after doing his part and playing a key role in the Cavs winning an NBA title. Kyrie Irving hit one of the most important and clutch shots in NBA history in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals, one that ended up being the championship-clinching shot for Cleveland. But he wanted more. He wanted to be a team's alpha dog. Former Cleveland Cavaliers GM David Griffin commented on the situation, and opposite to what we may think, Griff said there wasn't any friction or drama between Irving and James. Kyrie and LeBron didn't have drama as individuals, said Griffin, but there was more and more friction in the process in terms of how we go about winning games. It became really evident to Kyrie that he wasn't going to have the template from which to find out how great he can truly be because he wasn't going to have the ball enough. From Kyrie's perspective, there's actually nothing wrong with this. He just wanted to put himself in a position to develop his full potential and lead a team by himself. But why would he want to do that when he already had a championship team built and ready to continue contending in Cleveland alongside one of the GOATs? Not everyone wants to play with the best player of his generation, Griffin continued. People have had the opportunities to join forces and didn't. If Kyrie envisions himself as an alpha and LeBron as an alpha, the worst thing Kyrie could do is say he can do this and then sink us from within. Whether you agree or not with Irving's reasoning, he decided enough was enough in the summer of 2017. The team had just lost to the improved Golden State Warriors that had just added Kevin Durant. But everything appeared to be alright. LeBron James was likely to leave in free agency at the end of the 2017-18 season, and Kyrie would finally have his team back. But he'd been quiet for a long time up to that point, and he had enough. He requested a trade from the Cavs, and this led him to the Boston Celtics, the most storied franchise in the history of basketball alongside the Los Angeles Lakers. Irving's first season with the Celtics was mostly cool, as the core of Kyrie, Al Horford, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown led Boston to the number 2 seed in the East. Unfortunately, Irving was ruled out for the remainder of the season just 1 month before the start of the NBA playoffs, and the team lost a really close series to LeBron James and the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Everything appeared to be alright, and many expected the Celtics to reach the 2019 NBA Finals with LeBron leaving the Cavs and moving to the Western Conference. But instead, Boston faced a turmoil-filled season with lots of drama. With Kyrie on the last year of his contract, reporters and media members often asked him what his plans were after the end of that season. He mostly dismissed these questions, but at times appeared to show some slight commitment to the city of Boston. But then came answers like this one. Being on a team like this, where it's a challenge for me to figure out where do I fit into all of this and how do I lead the team the best way I can with other great players? So it's all a learning experience. Irving reportedly tried to take more of a leadership role within the locker room, but misused his powers by pointing fingers and lacked accountability. He openly admitted to this after Jaylen Brown called him out publicly, but shielded himself saying, "I've been there to the championship. I've tasted it, but I can't expect the younger players are gonna get it." Media noise got even louder after Kevin Durant and Irving were spotted chatting in a hallway before that year's All-Star game. At the time, Irving denied that conversation was related to his nearby free agency, but it was later confirmed that they were indeed discussing the possibility of teaming up together as both of their contracts expired that summer. Today, we know that convo ended up joining both stars in Brooklyn, and by that time, the Celtics locker room was in shambles amid of all the drama and speculation. The team's potential was wasted, as the Celtics got destroyed by the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round of the 2018 playoffs, and everybody knew that Kyrie leaving Boston in free agency was a sure thing. Now, looking at what just happened in Brooklyn, Kyrie somehow felt he had enough power to book himself a break in the middle of the season and leave his team and teammates in the dark. He's one of the few players in the league who could have gotten away with that without receiving any true punishments or fines. He just lost money of the games he didn't appear in, as he also violated the league's health and safety protocols during his break. Most every other player would have gotten fined, traded, released, or suffered some sort of punishment. Irving had always hated the way LeBron James used his power and leverage to get his way. But it turns out he's doing exactly the same, but worse. Because he's being unprofessional and condescending, not to mention he's not nearly on James's level. The real reason Kyrie Irving causes problems in the locker room is because he apparently believes he's some sort of superstar who can call shots and do anything he wants. But the truth is, he's only a beta player who can't lead a championship team by himself. There's a huge difference between both. He blew his chance in Boston, proving the alpha dog shoes were too big for him. Kyrie recently revealed that he called LeBron James to apologize for his mistakes early on in his career. "I wanted to be the guy that led us to a championship," Irving said. "I wanted to be the leader. I wanted to be all that." And guess where he's at right now? Playing second, perhaps even third fiddle in Brooklyn now that James Harden has arrived. The guy acts like he's a top 5 player in the league, trying to flex his power, and his attitude reflects a huge ego that, rather than helping his team, only sinks it. All of his comments on the media, going as far as calling them peasants, are very disappointing for a player who's extremely talented with a basketball in his hands. Maybe Kyrie is just heavily misunderstood. Whatever the case may be, all of his drama isn't working. He's rightfully earned his reputation as a drama queen, as well as the nickname Mariah Kyrie. He seems to realize that he can't do things on his own, but he keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. He isn't LeBron James, nor can he abuse his star player power and leverage. And don't forget that Brooklyn also has the 2 other pieces that round out the top 3 most dramatic players in the league. That just sounds like a time bomb waiting to explode. Irving's dramatic track record doesn't paint a pretty picture. All hope isn't lost, but the Nets have to make sure Irving, as well as KD and James Harden, can all buy into the same vision. If they do, the Nets will be a really dangerous threat. If not, we'll just witness Kyrie and his drama destroy yet another super team that had unlimited potential. Can Kyrie and the Nets win an NBA championship? Will Irving's drama prove to be more than Brooklyn can handle? Make sure to comment your thoughts down below, as well as leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.